It seems in the past 48 hours, the one common complaint, and Alex Hicks of Alex's World here on YouTube, just Alex, clipped this portion from his live stream review of Dynamite, and he's not the only one alone in this. JD talked about it along with Jesse, Heel Jesse of Chi-Tail Mark. Um, and I'm sure Solomonster touched upon it. But a lot of people, even those that talk about, what went on Dynamite, on social media and everything, like Facebook and Twitter X is we're now going to call it, and so what and so forth. Uh, the one thing people have talked about is we are less than a month away from, literally less than a month. We are basically 29 days away from, All In London, basically All In 2 from Wembley Stadium. Now, true, the ticket sales have been, very promising. I mean, getting to around 70,000, 75,000 plus, if not 80,000 plus, probably, by the time you watch this video, by the time I'm recording this, I should say, which is about 9:28 a.m. Pacific, you're probably close to almost 80, but over 75,000 tickets. But the one common complaint everybody has is that, with us being less than a month away, there are no matches, announced for All In. There's only one match announced, and it's for the following weekend in Chicago for All Out, and that's Luchasaurus defending the TNT Championship against Darby Allin. And that's the only match on this potentially bundle packaged, PPV event that's been announced. Nothing for All In. Now, there is a rumor going around that we do have a big match, or that AEW is working on a big match for All In. The only problem is that even though a lot of people will be fine with one of the participants, the other is not their cup of tea. Could you see, what's being rumored is you will have Will Ospreay defending, the IWGP U.S. Championship at All In London, but not against Kenny Omega, which you think would make sense. That would be a rubber match, right? You think it would make sense, but no. Instead, the rumor is he's going to defend against Chris Jericho. Now, we see the storyline going on right now, on Dynamite, where Don Callis is trying to create this new super faction that he would consider his family, which would consist of, currently right now, Kishno Takeshita, and, as we're seeing right now on television, possibly Chris Jericho. But if the rumor is that Chris Jericho is going to be fighting or wrestling Will Ospreay, at All In for the U.S. title, what that means is all this storyline is with Callis and Jericho is just a means to turn Jericho into a babyface, and potentially by default the entire JAS into a babyface faction. That's what it seems to be leading towards if this match is being rumored to be a reality at All In. And that's just one match potentially being, built towards, and either will be made official either next week on Dynamite, maybe even this Saturday on Collision. We're not really sure. But, despite that being the only rumored matchup, and it's a matchup that, with all due respect to Chris Jericho, not a lot of fans, particularly want to see. I mean, they have nothing against Chris Jericho against Will Ospreay in any other situation, whether it's a special episode of Dynamite like Dynamite 200 this upcoming Wednesday, or let's say the 5-month anniversary of Collision. They have no problem if it happens at any one of those events, even if it happens at Fyter Fest or Fight for the Fallen, Winter is Coming, you name it. They have no problem, in those perspectives, whatsoever. But this is All In. This is being touted as AEW's answer to WrestleMania 3, their answer to WrestleMania 32, their answer to a lot of the big time sellouts of the Tokyo Dome for Wrestle Kingdom. This is their answer to all of that. It really is. And what upsets them is it looks like you're trying to make one of the focal matches be, not the rubber match, which everybody knows would help sell out this, really help sell out this venue more so than it already is. But you're planning to put Ospreay against Jericho with the obvious, outcome being Ospreay being put over by Jericho. And again, not saying that that wouldn't be a great match, but everything leading towards that being a reality means this whole callous Jericho situation we're seeing on television is nothing more than a means that, as I've mentioned, to turn Jericho, and if not by extension, the Jericho Appreciation Society, the JAS, into baby faces, just like we saw with the Inner Circle. And, nothing against that. Nothing against that whatsoever. But, it's not what the fans want. From a match perspective. I mean, if you really want a match that's going to, again, sell out that stadium even more so than the potential of having nearly 80,000 plus right now, is Omega and Ospreay, if not Omega and Punk. And the issue fans have with this entire situation when it comes to Tony Khan not announcing anything for All In is very worrisome, because Tony Khan needs to, there's no doubt Tony Khan needs to take this very seriously. He does. He needs to take this as serious as anything he's ever taken in his life. He needs to take this as serious as him and his family focusing on trying to renovate TIDD Stadium or TIAA Stadium for the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's how serious he needs to take this. He needs to take it as serious as that, because we know that if TIAA Stadium is not renovated, there's going to be more rumors, if not strong rumors, becoming reality of the Jaguars leaving Jacksonville. And that's the last thing they want. Well, that's the last thing they want to do. So if I'm Tony Khan, I need to take this as serious as I'm taking the renovation of that stadium. I do. If not more so. Because, if you don't take this serious and you wait to about 2 weeks, if not a week and a half out, to say, here are the matches, here are your matches, then those that strongly support you are going to be ranting and basically eviscerating you verbally, if not social media wise, more so than you can imagine. Because to them, it'll become very crystal clear that either this proves one or two things. You're either, allowing the WBD, Warner Bros. Discovery, to boss you around and show that they're the real owners of AEW and not you, or it just shows you're nothing more than what people have said you are, a super fan that wants to prove to the big guys out there, mostly WWE, that, hey, look, a fan can book a wrestling event better than you. We can do this better than you. Why don't you let us do it? It's just one of those situations to where he needs to avoid that from happening by taking this seriously. I mean, look at the seating chart. These are all the seats, configured for this event to happen. The thing in the middle there, in the middle of the seating chart, that's the entrance. That is the walkway they're going to be taking to the ring in the middle. Just looking at that seating chart, that right there, in my opinion, says it all. It says it all about how serious he needs to take this. Because you're going to be filling out all those seats there. So you need to take this as serious as possible. And then take a look at all these images next to it. This inside look at the stadium. That's most of those seats are going to be filled up with fans, and a lot of the seats, and then you're going to have additional seats each on the grass, on the field. Just imagine what that's going to look like. Okay? Just imagine what that's going to look like coming off television. Just imagine what that's going to feel like being there in person. I mean, JD and Heel Jesse, they're going to know what it's going to feel like because they're going to be there in person. And apparently they spend enough money to get good seats. But the point is, imagine that atmosphere, live and in person, and watching it come off on television. That is something that you want to remember. If you're Tony Khan, you want to remember for the rest of your life. You do. So you need to take this seriously. And then from this aerial view at the bottom corner, I mean, imagine, you can't tell me he will not have, helicopters or something like that flying around to give us an aerial view, just like he's done with Arthur Ashe Stadium. You can't tell me he won't have that happen, because he will. Because this is going to be a big, big deal. And weather-wise, it has a retractable roof. And if you have to use that retractable roof, that's going to make the atmosphere even more immense, more exciting. So I understand, and I get what a lot of people are saying. He needs to take this seriously, and he needs to start booking matches right away. He needs to start announcing matches right away. He needs to do that. Now, I will say that there are reasonings why he hasn't announced yet. Because apparently, if he's inviting a lot of promotions within the UK, Japan, even Mexico to be part of this, he has to work out certain deals and arrangements with the promoters. Promoters of New Japan, promoters of AAA, promoters of Rev Pro, and some of Progress and ICW, if you will. He has to work out some kind of deals with them to integrate some of their talent into the show. He has to do that. So that's going to take up a lot of time, and maybe time that he cannot afford. He cannot afford. So I can understand, that being one of the stalling points. Then he needs to work out a deal with all these different promoters across the pond in the UK, in Japan, in Mexico, and wherever, to try to get enough top-tier talent from their promotions to be part of this against the best of AEW. So I can understand that's taking up part of his time, or majority of his time. But again, like I said, it's time he cannot waste. It is time he cannot afford to lose. If you know what I mean. He can't. He's got to get on the ball now. And even while he waits to finalize, this agreement with all these other promoters, he can at least, announce some AEW matches for this event. He can at least do that. He can at least say after Saturday, because we know it's coming. Unfortunately, as much as we may like the whole Adam Cole MJF dynamic, we know it's coming. At least by this Saturday, he has to make it official that we get MJF and Adam Cole for the AEW World Title. Heck, if you want to throw Roderick Strong into the picture, if he's clear by then, make it a three-way dance. As long as he announces something by this Saturday, because they're supposed to get that tag team title match. As long as he announces something for this Saturday, then fine. He'll have people getting off his case, because at least he's now starting to put more focus on it. And while he waits for, like I said, for a lot of these, agreements and deals to be made with these other promoters to get some of their talent on board, at least he'll have some matches on his behalf ready to go. So he needs to, at least by this Saturday, after that tag team title match, because we know maybe what direction it possibly will go unless they give it a twist. He needs to book that matchup, Cole MJF or Cole MJF and Strong, for the AEW World Title as soon as possible. If not right after the show goes off the air. For All In, he needs to do that. He needs to do that. Period. That's just my opinion. It's just my opinion. Because if he doesn't book anything until at least Dynamite 200, then okay, fine. He can get away with that because he's got 2.5 weeks to go. But still, there will be some people being like, okay, fine, you're finally focusing on All In, but why couldn't you start doing this beforehand? you know, and th- and again, this is a situation to where, once again, as I've mentioned, this is a situation to where when you're dealing with the real bosses of AEW, that being Warner Bros. Discovery, and the real boss, of Tony Khan, as well as I do, that dealing with this, that this is just a result of that, they may be the ones that say, hey, don't announce any matches until at least episode 200 of Dynamite, or don't announce any matches until the collision after the 200th Dynamite. This is what happens when you have to deal with network executives as your bosses, as the true people that run the entire show. Because they'll have more say in what you do than what you have. Because let's be honest, let's take a look at that list of moves that have to be approved and have been banned. Do you think that was just something Tony Khan and his crew came up with right off the bat? No. I mean, true, they probably, look, I'm not going to say they weren't working on something like that, but why all of a sudden come out and announce that these are moves that need to be approved, or these are moves that are banned, or these are situations that have to be approved, or these are situations that have to be banned? Why suddenly come out with it? I'll tell you why. It's because of this new network deal they're getting with Warner Brothers on TBS, TNT, and potentially Max. That's why. That's why they're doing it, because they are bending over for WBD. They're not going to come out and say it, but they are. That's what's going on. Because they could have announced that list of banned moves and situations, or situations that need to be approved or banned. They could have announced that, at the end of the year. But they didn't. They did it because of this deal that's coming up that they want to make, official with the WBD. That's why they did it, because the WBD, I guarantee you, someone like David Zaslav or whoever basically said, hey, you want, they basically probably came together and said, hey, you want us to back you up? Then from what we have seen, from what we have researched, or what we've been told, we want a list of moves and situations that either need to be banned, or that we want banned, or we want to see made approved before it happens. You can't tell me that they didn't, tell Tony Khan, give us a list, put together a list of moves and situations that need approval and need to be banned. And if you want to have your deal. You can't tell me they didn't tell them that, because they did. And then take a look what's going on with the promotion with Shark Week and Discovery. Okay? Why? It's like, they didn't, why promote Shark Week when you're trying to promote Blood and Guts? That does not make sense. Choose any other week to promote Shark Week, if you will. And that's fine. Choose any other week. You could have chose this week with 200, or this past week, or even the 200th episode of Dynamite. You could have chose them then. But you chose Blood and Guts. Again, that's just another example of, of seeing who the real bosses are, of AEW. They had freaking Sharky, a mascot for Shark Week. Get behind the announcers. Do you not think that didn't annoy them? Heck, I can tell you legitimately annoyed Taz. The point I'm getting at is Tony Khan needs to take this seriously, show us he's taking this seriously by announcing some matches as soon as Collision. And if one of those first matches is a result of what happens in that tag title match, and it's going to be MJF and Cole for the title, or the three-way with, Strong involved, then so be it. At least you got something going. At least you got something booked. Because if you don't announce that match by the end of Collision, and you wait till episode 200, okay, you can get a pass there. But if you don't announce the match even after 200, and you wait till the following Collision, then we have a problem. But it also shows, like I said, who's truly running things behind the scenes. It ain't Tony Khan, it's Warner Bros. Discovery. And everybody watching and listening to this knows that. They know it. They know that's true. Because if this was all Tony Khan, Tony Khan would have had a few matches, if not international, interpromotional matches, already announced for this. He would have had an AEW versus Rev Pro, or an Rev Pro versus New Japan, or a Rev Pro versus AAA, matchup already announced and ready to go for All In. But he doesn't. He doesn't. And why? Because again, like I said, he's probably got to work things out with some of the promoters, of Rev Pro, AAA, New Japan, you name it, to get some of the talent involved. Even Progress and ICW, he needs to do that. He needs to finalize any potential part-time deal, pay per appearance deal with Goldberg if he's going to be part of this. He's still got a lot to do. He's still got a lot to do that's taking up a lot of his time, but it's time he cannot have taken up because he needs to put pen to paper and get these, not just pen to paper, but fingers to keyboard and get these matches booked up and ready to go for All In. Because if he's going to wait till the end of episode 200 of Dynamite, or even, wait to the end of the Collision a week from tomorrow, which is after the 200th Dynamite. If he's going to wait till then, that's not a good sign, and in my opinion, it proves who's really in charge, who's really calling the shots. And also, what it does is it basically gives WWE and those that never and those that are not WWE stands, if you will. It gives them, those that have had doubts about AEW since the beginning, that gives them more ammunition to say, see, Tony Khan don't know what he's doing. He's allowing the WBD to tell him what to do. Or he's showing he's just a fan that wants to, shove it in WWE's face that he was able to do this. A fan was able to do this. If he waits any longer, that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. And that's going to be enough fire for even WWE to take a shot at him down the line. Because if you don't think Triple H and Vince McMahon, filtering through the likes of, Kevin Patrick or Corey Graves or Michael Cole, if you do not think they will not take a shot at, this situation and AEW not booking any matches till about 2.5 weeks in or whatever, if you do not think they won't do that, they will. They will do that. Heck, they might even book matches for freaking Payback immediately after SummerSlam to take shots at them. You know that. You know that as well as I do. So, again, if I'm Tony Khan, I do agree, he needs to start focusing on matches now. He needs to start doing that. And yes, I get he has to make deals, finalize deals with all these other promoters to get their talent, involved as well. I get that. He needs to finalize certain pay-per-appearance deals with people like Goldberg, if that's going to happen. I get that. But outside of all that, if he wants that seat chart to be, become, to be a reality, if he wants these seats that you see in the picture, in the middle, to be totally filled out, whether you have it open aired or you have the roof, close up, be retractable and close up because maybe weather. If he wants that ominous, if he wants this, if he wants this magnum opus of an event to really, be something he's going to remember for the rest of his life, then he needs to start booking at least some in-house AEW matches more so right now than ever before. Don't treat this, as I think Alex put it, as just a, an over-glorified house show, house rules event. Don't do that. Don't do that. This is a sequel to the very event that basically put you on the map, that was the catalyst, the foundation for the existence of AEW. So you need to take this seriously, and you need to take it seriously right now. And if you don't have that AEW World Title match booked by the end of Collision tomorrow night, and it's either just Adam Cole against MJF or it's a three-way with Strong involved, if you don't have that booked by the end of tomorrow night, and you're waiting to the end of episode or during episode 200 of Dynamite to do it, then again, like I said, you'll get a pass, but but not much of a pass because that'll be almost 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks out. 2.5 weeks out, and you know it. And you know it. So, if I'm Tony Khan, I get this done, and I get matches booked and done for AEW All In London right now, if not starting tomorrow night after Collision. That's just my opinion. I mean, heck, take a look at Collision. You have a match pretty much set up already. CM Punk versus Ricky Starks in a rematch for All In, if you want to go that route. To me, you have it all set up. Heck, you can... I mean, what's another UK-based wrestler that's working for New Japan right now? Oh, that's right, Zack Sabre Jr. Is anybody not thinking, hey, we can get Sabre Jr. and Punk? You really want to sell out tickets, and really, prove that this is your magnum opus, one that everybody's going to remember, remember for a long time? A match like Sabre Jr. against Punk would definitely help out. Even if you do go Ospreay and Jericho, Sabre and Punk would more than make up for that decision, in my opinion. I mean, you can even do FTR and RC Open. I mean, as long as you book those kind of matches, those 3 kind of matches, along with the world title, whether the world title is a one-on-one or a 3-way dance, as long as you can get things like those booked by the end of tomorrow night, or going into episode 200 of Dynamite, or at least afterwards where you would get a pass, then you're good. You won't get anybody else complaining anymore about you not taking this seriously, because if you don't do this, if you don't do what I suggested, and you're not taking this seriously, and you're letting the WBD tell you what to do, to tell you to wait until the last minute, that's not a good look for you, and it proves to all the other fans watching, your product, that you're not the boss anymore of your own company that you helped found along with the Elite and Cody Rhodes. No, it proves that now you have basically handed the keys to the kingdom over to Warner Bros. Discovery. And you're nothing more than everybody else. You're just an employee. So if I'm Tony Khan, I take this seriously. Right now. And by the end of tomorrow night, I need to have at least those 4 matches that I mentioned ready and set to go, and ready for announcement by the 200th Dynamite. That's what I need to do if I'm Tony Khan. Because if I'm Tony Khan, I don't do that, and I wait until 2 weeks out, all I'm going to say is, Tony, if I was you, I would shut your Twitter X down right now. I would shut it down, because you will get bombarded with so much evisceration and ranting and displeasure than you've ever seen in your entire life. So if I'm Tony Khan, what I've mentioned, Punk, Sabre Jr. or Punk and Starks, you need to have that ready for All In by the end of tomorrow night. MJF, Adam Cole, or MJF, Adam Cole, Roderick Strong for the AEW title, have that ready by the end of tomorrow night. FTR, or Aussie Open, champions versus champions, have that ready by tomorrow night. Jericho and Ospreay, have that ready by at least, if not by tomorrow night, have that ready by at least at the end of episode 200. Because again, if you can at least get some of these done by the 200th episode, that's a pass. You get a pass there. But if you don't have anything done and booked and ready to go, before the end of next week at least, again, if I'm you, Tony Khan, I would turn my Twitter off, my social media off, because you will get eviscerated. And those that trust in you, like a Just Alex, like a JD, like a Solomonster, they will not have mercy on your soul, because they will start seeing you for what you really are. Either somebody that sold his soul to the WBD and handed the keys to his AEW kingdom over to them, or that you're nothing more than a super fan that just wants to prove to WWE, of all people, hey, fans can book better than you, so you should give the fans the book to do things. But Tony Khan, if I'm you, I get things going, and I get them going right now. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on this whole situation. When do you think he'll start officially announcing matches for All In? Do you think it'll be by the end of tomorrow night? Do you think it'll be during and by the end of episode 200, which would be passable, if you will? That's 2 weeks away, or two and a half weeks away, if not more. Or do you think you'll have matches announced and ready to go by the end of next week, which is a week from this Saturday? Let me know. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. And what do you think will happen if he waits till almost 2 weeks out, or a week and a half out? How do you think fans will react to him? And do you think they'll start seeing him for what he is? That being a super fan that just wants to rub it in WWE's face that, hey, I can book a fan could book a better show than you, or a better product than you? Or do you think they'll see him as somebody that sold his soul and handed the keys of his AEW kingdom over to Warner Bros. Discovery, thus making them the real bosses of AEW, the new bosses, the new owners? What are your thoughts? Let me know down below in the comments, as well as in the live chat during the premiere. Like the video. Super chats are open in the live chat. Also, check out the Teespring store for merchandise you can't get anywhere else. Also, check out BW Rose's Discussions on all your favorite audio podcast locations except for Pandora. But more specifically, check out BW Rose's Discussions on Spotify. The more you follow me and listen to me on Spotify, the more that opens up the ambassador ads that helps me out financially. And yeah, that's all I'm going to really say, guys. But give me your thoughts. Love to hear from each and every one of you on this. And until then, I am out.